Hi, welcome to the BD Roundtable. We're here today with Steve Tyndall to learn how business development and marketing teams can take the data that they have on clients and how we can use that to build long-term client relationships. Now, if you want to listen to the extended Q&A session or you want to participate in an upcoming interview, head on over to bdroundtable.com to sign up to become a member. Now, here's Steve. Right. Now, thanks again for joining us. So we're going to talk with you about the importance of client relationships, customer relationships. And now in times of COVID, I think a lot of the law firms are really taking a look at how they are handling their relationships with their clients. And when speaking with a lot of the BD Roundtable members, everyone was very quick to talk about new CRM systems and spending money to implement this and thinking it's going to be a godsend and make all of their problems go away. Can you talk a little bit about some of the reasons why traditionally CRM systems fail in law firms?
Yeah, look, I think what a lot of it comes down to, Will, is really having, as a technologist, someone that's spent a lot of time working with firms, helping them choose practice management systems. Being the in-house IT manager, of course, meant that the job was to select systems and so forth. Often what it came down to, I think it comes down to some really basic things. It's what is the system designed to do and who is it designed to help? And I think it's a really fascinating area. If you look at, really, I believe there's a mismatch between what a CRM system is designed to do and really what a law firm is looking for. And I think that comes down to the difference between there's client versus customer. So what is the difference in there? And I think that's an interesting topic in its own right. But often the CRM systems, whilst I don't believe they're not good at what they do, I mean, the Salesforces, the HubSpots, the Microsoft Dynamics of the world, they don't exist and they're not billion-dollar companies for no reason. They exist for good reason. And typically I see that they're useful for sales teams and for companies that have a sales pipeline and are more customer-centric than, let's say, client-centric. And I think there's a few subtle differences in there that once you unpack those, you really do start to appreciate why it's so difficult for a firm to implement or not implement, it's easier to implement, but to actually make use of and make effective a CRM system.
Yeah, the names you just mentioned have come up many times. And as you said, they are built for sales teams. And I found that, the BD marketing teams, they don't do too many sales. And it's really the lawyers who are doing all of the relationship building. And it's quite a tall order to have these sort of systems translate the very complex relationships that the lawyers have with their clients into some sort of system. It seems quite difficult.
That's right. Yeah. Look, I think there are a load of differences, and even if it's even interesting just to stop and literally do a Google of what does CRM stand for. None of those systems will make any apology for the fact that they're customer relationship management. And I think in legal we've all wanted for that to be client. And interestingly, because they start with the same letter, that can be overlooked. But if in reality, like you say, the complex relationships that are held by a firm, and for the fact that there's not a linear pipeline, so we don't have a customer come in off the website necessarily, take them through a rigid sales process and result in the transaction. And the transaction being the end of the story, often in a sales system. So often I think where a law firm, what they lack is they expect, I think it comes down to the fact that what a CRM offers and what it's designed to provide and what a law firm's looking for are not dissimilar. I think that's where there's a lot of confusion. So a law firm would love to know who they know. They'd love to understand the client, the customer in any case, and really to appreciate everything about their journey and their story. And for a CRM system, often it's designed to track the customer's interaction with the business. And they refer to even the word relationship in CRM, I think is a little bit misused in that what we appreciate relationship to be is more complex than the interactions that a customer has with a business. So I think it's a bit of a a bit of a stretch to say that a CRM can explain my relationship with an Amazon, with a Google, any of these guys. It's not really a relationship. It's a relationship, certainly not a relationship that a law firm would consider to be a relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were mentioning that these companies like Amazon and Apple and they would love to know how much we know about our clients, right?
Absolutely. And so I think really what it comes down to is that we all want for the same thing. We all want to know our client or our customer. So we share that. We share that with every other company, and a law firm does also. So whether it's an airline or whether it's a bank or it's Amazon, we all want to know more about the client, the customer. And that's obviously important because it helps us to provide a better experience and to sell more services. So I think that's absolutely right. But what the Amazons and the Googles and the Apples of the world have and know about us, whether that's Netflix or anyone else, they tend to know our transactional habits. So they'll appreciate, often confused by my kids using the same Netflix account, but nonetheless, they try and predict what else I might want to watch or want to look at. And that's clever and that's useful because that's providing a personalized experience. But if you consider what a law firm really knows about their clients, what they know about their clients exceeds what Amazon know about me as a customer by 1,000-fold. And I think that's really where the opportunity for law firms exist, because as a customer of Amazon, certainly what they know about me, they'd love to know more. But what a law firm knows about their clients, I think, is really powerful. And when that's used, can absolutely go a long way to improving the experience and increasing revenue.
That's right. That's right. Now, okay, so let's say a firm does manage to implement some sort of system and we have this data that we've been after. Does it really tell the whole story? How can we use that data to build the relationship even further, cross-pollinate the relationships across practice groups? What are some of the key issues that BD and marketing teams need to look at when they actually have the data?
Yeah, so I think first of all, what I would say there is that the human relationships that are held really they hold complexities that I don't believe exist in a database to the truest extent. So, for example, understanding who we know when we last communicated or who we've met with, that's one part of the puzzle. It doesn't really unlock the complete relationship, but even that as a starting point can be a really powerful thing for a firm. So even knowing who we know is powerful in itself. So even without needing to, I guess, extract the inner thinkings of every lawyer and each of their clients, even that information goes quite a long way, I believe. So for me, the data really supports and enhances or leverages the relationships that the firm has, and it's certainly not intended to replace or supersede those relationships. It's those relationships that the data is designed to expose and to leverage.
All right. Well, if a team or a law firm doesn't have a lot of budget and they're really trying to focus on one key metric when it comes to the relationship side of things, is there something that we should be focusing on over others? I mean, with your experience advising firms on how to build these relationships, what is the one sort of data point, as it were, that we can really focus on?
Yeah, look, I think that despite, there's loads of different ways that you can get all very clever and complex about it. But in the end, I think it's consistency and that regularity of communication, because if you had that, then you're likely to expose the opportunity. So, simple thing, if I'm in contact with you, Will, more often, the chance of me finding that opportunity of retaining you as a client all goes up exponentially. So for me, it would be not so much do we hold, 2 pages of information about you and have we got it all correct? That's probably less relevant than are we staying in touch with you or have we forgotten you?
Right. Now, I was thinking, all right, I have all this data that I can give to the lawyers, right? Because they're busy with their emails, they're busy with, actual client work. But if I say, okay, this client, we've engaged them for a few months, they've kind of gone quiet for a few months, and I think that, okay, this is someone that we should re-engage with. what
Mhm.
would you recommend that the BD teams do to assist the lawyers in doing that? Is it, hey, give them a phone call or prepare some sort of content or a mixture of both? What
Yeah.
should we do?
Yeah, look, I think a lot of that will come down to the lawyer's style. So I think, is the lawyer better placed to be picking up the phone or the email? So for me, I wouldn't be so concerned on the medium itself, whether it's a WhatsApp message or a LinkedIn message, whatever it takes. But ultimately, I think I see the BD team as being able to support the lawyer. For example, it's been 3 months since we've had any contact with this client. They've been good to us in the past. They've used us for a number of years. Here are the things they've used us for. Here are the areas they've used us in. Here are some other people they know. So I think really arming the lawyer with that information can help not just from their ability to expose another opportunity, but also I think it actually takes away a little bit of the awkwardness of otherwise contacting someone only to have them say, "Oh, I know, I was talking to someone in another group just yesterday, and you've both come to me saying that we should do more work for you as a whole firm. Did you guys talk?" So you remove a lot of that. I think when you got that visibility, you can, I would say, with greater confidence, you can be sparking those conversations and having, the lawyer can be having those conversations in whichever medium they feel more comfortable to do so.
Is there a time frame that you would recommend? I don't want to get into too many
Oh,
specifics.
yeah.
We can save for the Q&A for the BD Roundtable members about how to actually go about this. But I think many lawyers may be afraid to just pick up the phone and call too often. They might sound a bit too salesy. From your
Mm-hmm.
experience, is there sort of a optimum time frame, or is it really dependent on the client?
Yeah, look, I don't know that there's an optimum time frame, an exact number that is right. But for example, we ourselves have used data to understand people's preferred time of day to communicate. So I know that's not about how long we should wait, but how does someone prefer to communicate? Are they a morning person? So I myself have recognised we've had instances with some of our clients where I've had trouble getting a response from them in any form of with any form of urgency, except when we looked at the data and could see that we had people that would like to communicate between, say, 5 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. And you could see that in the data, and that allowed us then to communicate at their time of day and be much more likely to get a response. So I don't think there's necessarily a perfect cadence to how long that needs to be, but certainly I can vouch for the fact that it just time ticks away quickly. And whilst you think you might be annoying someone by communicating regularly, it's pretty hard to over communicate in a busy world. So my guess is that if, providing some form of metric around that, whether it's every couple of months or whatever it is probably somewhere in there. So typically we'll see firms set thresholds of between, say, 35 and 60 days between regular communication, even though there's not a science to that.
Yeah, I think many firms now are working into their engagement letters and asking the clients from the very beginning, how often would you like to be, contacted? What forms would be best? What
Mm-hmm.
time? Because some clients are open to WhatsApp and,
Mm-hmm.
Line and all these instant messengers. Some only are, during working hours. So it's good to know how the client would like to talk. Um,
Absolutely.
Now, for the BD Roundtable members who are new to the profession, new to the industry, there's a certain level of skills that we need when we're talking about data and collecting data and analyzing data.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to those who are just joining the industry when they want to look at this side of the law firm? Skills, what software, what things should we be investing our time in learning?
Yeah, look, I think the opportunity lays in the data that already exists, to be frank. So, given that a law firm, whether you consider it this way or not, typically you're collecting a lot of data because you bill it. So not many units get lost in a typical law firm that's profitable. So there's a whole lot of historical information in there that can help to understand, for example, so even if it means leaning on the IT team, or if you've got a business analyst or similar that you can ask, is asking for some information. So finding out, for example, what clients have we got that have used more than one or two services, and what is common across those clients. So is it industry, or what service tends to be followed by another service? So where we might, for example, I guess the gut feel might say, we know that when we provide someone with a property settlement, they might want to update their will after that. Well, there's other instances in there that we can go into in the member session in more detail, but often the services that are linked aren't always that apparent. But once you can discover those, then it almost provides for you, like the Netflix recommender, people that watch this movie also like this movie. And so it allows you to put the right services in at the right time, and also being able to identify these sorts of patterns, because anyone working in their own group, I don't think really has that holistic view. It's very difficult for them to really have that broader picture. So I think really the skill set and what the BD people are bringing to the table is that broad view of what's going on, and looking for the connection across different groups to really leverage them.
Yeah, taking the time to really pull in the data because the data comes in from all different areas, right? From social media, from emails, from event attendance, RSVPs, and just kind of finding a way to look at it and get the data there. And that's the sort of things that we discuss in the BD Roundtable group calls on technology to help us do that. Now, again, I really want to focus the importance between client and customer. And when you are talking about this with your companies and your firms, really keep that in mind if you are going with some sort of system or solution, how does it really support that relationship and really bring in the multiple practice groups and how you can cross-pollinate. So just be mindful of that to everyone who's watching online.
Even considering things like, I don't believe that a sales system, so I classify a traditional CRM as a sales system. I'm not even sure they're really focused on the concept of referrers and managing those referrer relationships, because if you consider that typical sales cycle for a business that's got a sales team and they're selling products, a referrer isn't often part of that mix. So for a law firm, referrers might make up a significant percentage of revenue. So I guess considering the referrer relationships, and even the fact that you've got clients there, that just because a client's not actively using you today doesn't mean they're lost. It might mean they're dormant. They just don't have any open matters. So that's very different again to what you might expect from a sales system. So while I think the trick is that both appear to offer, we both want for the same thing. Amazon and the law firm want for the same thing. How they have to go about doing it, I think, is quite different, and that's what needs to be considered.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, these are human relationships, and it takes a human touch to really know how some of these pieces fit together.
Yes.
And an AI algorithm is not going to solve everyone's problems. So just take the time to really look at how you can help the lawyers support that relationship. Okay, thank you so much, Steve, for taking the time to discuss. We're going to transition into the live Q&A, but before we do that, for those watching on YouTube, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Probably best via LinkedIn's fine. So if you can find me on LinkedIn, email, I'm not sure whether you'll present it or not, but if so, email's fine as well. And through clientsense.com, there's a contact and an ability there to reach out. So more than happy to open a conversation for any firms pondering these things and just generally interested in business development and how data can help.
Sure, absolutely. We'll put the links in the description. And then hopefully everyone will get in touch with you there.
Excellent.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Will.